What's happening, guys? Welcome to Let's Talk Comics, and today I want to talk about The Peril of the Brutal Dark, Ezra Kane mystery. This was a 6-issue miniseries that was one of the titles that was launched when Vertigo made their recent comeback. It's by Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips. I become a big fan of that team, and that team together is a must-buy for me, based upon the work I've seen in That Texas Blood and in the Infield Gang, the Infield Gang Massacre. I can't want to say mystery for some reason. The Infield Gang Massacre. But this is a 6-issue miniseries and stars the main character here, Ezra Kane. It's set in like 1940s New York. And Ezra Kane is former, he's a veteran. He served in the military. Now he's a private detective and, former police officer, whatever. And if you've ever seen a movie, like any old classic detective movie, that type of noir deal, that's essentially the same vibe right here as in this book. He's a detective. Somebody shows up with a mystery. He takes the case. He stumbles onto a bigger conspiracy, and then it's up to him to save the day or prevent catastrophe or whatever. And like a lot of those noir detective stories, or the stories that you would find in old pulp magazines, you've got the hard-boiled detective. You've got his girlfriend, who's, kind of like a real feisty girl, a fire plug or whatever or spark plug, whatever you want to call her. You've got some super science. You've got evil Nazis that have some sort of supernatural relic. We've seen that type of thing before, like Indiana Jones type stuff. Maltese Falcon, that type of vibe. It's all in here. So that it's not a very original type of story, but if that's your jam, if you're into noir stories or crime or the pulp type stuff, like I said, like Indiana Jones or Person After Supernatural Artifact, Brutal Dark is really great. It'll be right up your alley. This team, Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips, they work really well together. It is not a overly verbose type of book. You have a lot of pages sometimes that just allows Jacob Phillips to let loose and do some tremendous storytelling with artwork only. The only downside that I'll say, it's kind of a double-edged sword. I was very disappointed that this didn't go for longer than 6 issues, but at the same time, it's going to be a ongoing series of minis. So I've got another miniseries to look forward to since this one wrapped up. They have this big, towards the end here, they have this big fight over the New York skyline. He's like in a giant, what are they called? Dirigible. That the Nazis have commandeered. They've got their super science and trying to unleash their top secret weapon onto the city underneath it. Like this is it right here. So the Nazis are in here, and Ezra Kane, he's the last man standing between them and unleashing their secret weapon or whatever. So some really cool pulp feel, noir, detective type feel stuff. But I just enjoy this type of book every once in a while. And this team here, Chris Condon and Jacob Phillips, to me, I'm a big fan of them. Much like Brew Baker and Sean Phillips, where I buy anything with their name on it, I'm the same way about these guys here. But Brutal Dark is a 6-issue mini, just wrapped up this week. I don't know how available it would be at your local comic book shop. I don't think any of these issues or keys or whatever they want to call it, and would be terribly difficult to come by. Or if they're still out there, have been really marked up for aftermarket type stuff. But in any case, if they're not available as singles, I'm sure a trade's going to be coming at some point. But if you like a really good mystery story with detective work and, Indiana Jones type vibe, check out Ezra Kane Mystery, Peril of the Brutal Dark. I think you'll like it. I really dug it. So if you see it, give it a shot next time. Let me know what you think of it. Until next time, talk to you guys later. Have a good day. Bye-bye.